Stocks open on a volatile note on global geopolitical uncertainties, but breadth improves as market moves to a day's high. Metals as well as utilities are the big gainers, even as FMCG and financials drag today.
Sources tell CNBC-TV18 that banks are likely to ask the Reserve Bank to relax its proposed hike in provisioning for project loans. A representation via the Indian Bank Association is likely in the coming weeks.
BEL jumps on a strong show and guidance while IRFC perks up on healthy income growth and fall in provisions. On the other hand, a decline in operating profit hurts City Union Bank and a sharp bottom line dent weighs down Parag Milk.
Gold scales to a high of $2,440 per ounce as hopes of a U.S. rate cut this year rise, even as West Asia concerns over the Iranian president's death and poor health of the Saudi king fuels safe haven buying. Silver prices in India too hit a record high.
Hello and welcome. You've tuned into Business Lunch. I'm Nisha Podar. With me, as always, is Sonia Shenoy. So, Sonia, as the volatility really continues in the market, but it's a strong showing when it comes to recovery at the moment for our market. Let's take stock of the market at lunch hour today. And Nifty 50 closer to 22,600 mark. Remember, when it opened, it was closer to about 22,400 mark today. At the moment, 0.37% up in trade, and it's a strong recovery that is being seen in the market and the frontline indices. When we talk about Sensex, it's a gain of over 150 points. Bank Nifty is trending on the flat line, so it's not a great day for financials. They are not participating in a big way. While on the other hand, the mid caps, they are in line with the key indices as well and showing some momentum. But metals, the high beta stocks are the ones which are gaining the most. FMCG counters are the ones which are dragging the most in terms of percentage for Nifty 50, Sonia.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, the market right now is doing pretty good. About an hour or two ago, it was sort of flitting between the red and the green line. But for now, it's picking up a lot of pace. And there are so many stocks, right, that are moving around. I just want to point out some of them. Polycab is one stock that is back on the investors' radar. In fact, if you pull up Polycab, the stock has hit a market cap of 1 lakh crore now, and it's had a phenomenal run. Remember, a couple of days ago, the company came out with its Q4 numbers, very strong numbers coming through. The management was very optimistic as well, but this is a big milestone for Polycab. 1 lakh crore market cap is what the company has hit. But let's talk about some other stocks. Today, clearly, BEL is the one that's surging in trade after reporting a strong set of fourth quarter earnings. Vivek gets us a fine print of the numbers and what brokerages have to say on the earnings. Vivek, over to you.
Well, good afternoon. So if you had to do a quick précis as far as BEL is concerned, you know, what actually stands out? Number one, it's a likely inclusion as far as Nifty is concerned. So that's a technical inclusion that could happen, that could ensure that some inflows come in. But, you know, that's some time away when the index review committee actually goes ahead and sees whether it's eligible for inclusion into the Nifty 50. Now, apart from that, let's look at the fundamentals. Let's look at Q4. Q4 as well as FY24, very strong set of numbers. Q4 is a strong beat across all parameters, the revenues, operating margin, EBITDA, as well as PAT. All of them were much above what the street was anticipating. Now, coming to FY24, the company had given an order inflow guidance of close to 20,000 crore. The company managed to go ahead and post an order inflow guidance of close to 35,000 crore. Again, a significant beat versus its own guidance. Now, talking about, you know, where the order book stands at, order book is very, very healthy, standing well above the 75,900 crore mark. Now, you know, obviously, brokerages have been enthused on the back of the strong set of results. Jefferies, you know, maintains its buy, you know, has gone ahead and raised the target price. The fourth quarter EBITDA was 30% above what Jefferies was anticipating. They're saying that the company is benefiting from spends across Army, Navy, as well as the Air Force. Now, Nomura maintains its buy, target price at close to 300. What they're saying is that implied order inflows were around 8,200 crore, again around 4% above what Nomura was anticipating. And Morgan Stanley too has gone ahead and upgraded the target price. They're saying FY24 margin of 24.9% was significantly above the 21 to 23% margin band that they were working with.
Okay, Vivek, thanks a lot for that. Balkrishna Industries is the other stock that we're looking at this afternoon. The earnings were very strong this particular quarter. Both the Q4 revenues and margins were above street estimates. And the stock is at a dream run. It's up almost about 10-odd%. But here's what brokerages are saying. It's pretty much a mixed bag, actually, for Balkrishna Industries. So 3 out of 4 brokerages are actually cautious on the stock. Kotak has a sell, Citi has a sell, Motilal Oswal has a neutral. Nomura is the only one that has upgraded the stock to a buy. They have a target price of 3,230. Now, the reason for a lot of companies, a lot of brokerages being cautious is that the company has decided not to give a guidance for FY25. They said that things are very uncertain, especially on the geopolitical front, and hence they refrain from giving any kind of guidance for the full year. So that brought about a little bit of caution from brokerages. Apart from that, they also spoke about how some raw material costs are going up, freight rates have also increased, but that did not stop the stock from surging because of a couple of reasons. One, as I said, very strong numbers, double-digit revenue growth, 16% revenue growth. The stock has come back in a big way. Volume growth is up 13%. And some brokerages like Nomura believe that the stock is even trading at attractive valuations at about 15-16 times EV to EBITDA. So it's a mixed bag, but the stock is looking pretty good right now.
Yeah, thanks, Sonia, for giving us the details on that. And of course, the stock is surging up almost 10% in trade. And this kind of market momentum is also revving up the debut street, the IPO street. And let's get you some news on that from the insurance space. And we understand that Niva Bupa is eyeing a deal street debut soon and will be filing its DRHP with market regulator SEBI. In fact, our colleague Yash Jain gets us all those details. Tell us, Yash.
Well, Nisha, the activity as far as the primary market space is concerned, particularly from the insurance sector, seems to be picking up pretty quick. Just last week, we had the Go-Digit General Insurance IPO closing, and the latest and the new one that we're picking up here is that Niva Bupa Health Insurance Company could soon file its IPO DRHP papers with market regulator SEBI. Now, this filing of DRHP papers could happen by the end of current month, that is by the end of May or early June itself. As far as the size of the issue is concerned, pretty large issue of about 3,000 crore rupees, out of which 600 to 800 crore rupees is expected to come in the form of fresh issuance of equity, and the balance 2,200 to about 2,400 crore rupees is expected to be raised through the offer for sale part. As far as Niva Bupa Health Insurance is concerned, it will be the second standalone health insurance company after Star Health Insurance to list on the stock exchanges. Speaking about the OFS part of the issue, True North SPV, that is Indian Fettle Tone LLP, is likely to be a large seller. As far as that OFS part is concerned, do remember that True North holds about 28% stake in Niva Bupa Health Insurance. Bupa Singapore Holdings owns about 63% stake. Just in September 2023, True North had sold about 20% of its stake to Bupa for 2,700 crore rupees, which valued Niva Bupa Health Insurance at about 13,500 crore rupees. Now, one looks at the quick financials for FY24. The premium growth for Niva Bupa, that stood at 38%. Market share amongst general insurance companies for Niva Bupa was up about 35 basis points at 1.94%. Among standalone health insurance companies, that market share grew by 141 basis points. That stood at 17% at the end of FY24. In terms of its product mix, health retail grew by about 29%. In terms of premium, health group grew by about 63%. Overseas medical part, which is a small part of the total premium, that grew 2.6 times. As far as product mix is concerned, health retail, that is about 68.4% of the total product mix. Health group is about 29.5%. And overseas medical, as I said, small portion of about 0.37%.
Okay, thanks a lot, Yash, for that. Well, moving on, let's talk about the RBI project finance rules. Banking sources tell CNBC-TV18 that banks see the 5% general provision for project finance as too high. Ritu Singh joins us now with more details. Ritu, over to you.
Well, a lot has been said and made of the proposed project financing rules which RBI issued for feedback earlier this month, some worrying about the hit on balance sheets, others terming it a deal breaker for project financing because of the steeply higher provisions. So we've been speaking to a whole host of large banks, including public sector banks that have a more substantial exposure to these infrastructure projects, to understand the kind of feedback that they're going to provide to the RBI before that 15th of June deadline. And clearly, there is widespread discomfort among large banks on that 5% general provision which is proposed at the construction phase of the project itself. The large banks we spoke to believe even if provisions are to be raised from the current 0.4% levels, perhaps a smaller hike of 1 or 2% could be considered. Other banks believe that maybe instead raising risk weights for project financing during the construction stage could serve the better purpose if the concern is to price the risk better. The second major change which banks are likely to propose is that RBI allow for a minimum 1 year of moratorium period after the DCCO or the commencement date of a project in the case of non-infrastructure projects and 2 years moratorium for infrastructure projects instead of the 6-month cap which has been proposed. Besides these, banks are also going to seek clarity on whether RBI is going to propose a floor for the exposure above which these rules would apply, say a minimum of 1,500 crores or so. Now, besides this, we understand NBFCs are also in the process of firming and submitting their views to the RBI separately.
All right. Thanks so much, Ritu, for getting us all those details. Project finance is the nerve center of capex-heavy companies. Now, moving on, Bandhan Bank's MD and CEO CS Ghosh, who has announced, remember, his retirement, says that he has a bigger strategic role to play in the holding company. And he tells CNBC-TV18 that a search committee has been set up and it will find a suitable candidate for the bank. Listen in.
I have been taken a very consciously decided to retirement of the 9th of July 2024, which is my third term as a MD and CEO. I have the plan on that. The bank is under the holding company. I like to go to this role of holding company as a strategic role and the bigger way to other vertical also. Our board have been set up a search committee, and after that they are appointed in there is a headhunter company, and this headhunter company is going to search, and it is doing independently by this search committee. Accordingly, it is a going process in a well on that. Not any money is related to any of the related parties, family or the promoter. Of course, there is a big promoter group, and of course this is an other vertical. You already know that has been developed, but other than this is not in anything have been done any of the way on that very transparent way, very strong governance practice, and we are running this organization.
Okay, that's Mr. Ghosh, clarifying a lot of things and answering a lot of our queries as well on his retirement, reasons for it, and the way forward for the bank. Let's slip into a quick break. On the other side, metals are rallying across the board. We get you up to speed on the other side. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Well, let's focus to the commodity space. Metals are definitely in focus, especially copper, after it hit a lifetime high above 11,000 a ton. Manisha is here with more details on that. Manisha, over to you.
Well, thank you so much for that, Sonia. Yes, we have seen the copper prices hit all-time highs in China, which is a major market, of course, and on LME at around $11,000 a ton, and on CME as well at $5.15 a pound there, and the Indian markets, which are trading at around 930 rupees a kg. So these are all-time highs across time zones that we are working with. Well, a couple of factors. We have seen supply disruptions from mines. It also has to do with the constantly declining inventories and potential demand going forward. These three factors have led the copper prices higher. And then there has been a very interesting statement coming from China, which says that they will buy all unsold housing inventory to combat the oversupplies and to ensure that there are no more defaults coming in for property sector. Remember, it was only last week that China also came out with a 1 trillion Chinese yuan for a long-term bond issuance, also to support the infrastructure sector in the country. So from China as well, we have seen support come into the markets there. There are various statements also coming in from Wall Street banks and brokerages suggesting that from here on as well, you could be looking at higher highs in copper prices. Bank of America has reiterated $12,000 a ton of a mark, while a latest statement from Morgan Stanley says that 13,000 within this year also is something of a level that they expect the copper prices to surpass. So bullish cues continuing, and the next couple of years are anticipated quite strong.
All right, Manisha, thanks so much for giving us all the details and the dynamics around copper. In fact, Carlyle's Jeff Curry explains the dynamics on the copper market and what is really leading to the rise in prices and its outlook. Take a listen.
I want to be a little cautious here. The question is being posed by many investors. Is it too much too soon, particularly given the fundamental picture of higher inventories in China? I think everybody agrees the medium-term story is very positive. The question is, can the market look forward to that more medium-term story? I'm not willing to call the top here very near term. So longer term, we stick to our forecast of $15,000 a ton. But very near term, has it gotten ahead? I'd be a little cautious of getting short here, particularly given the momentum that we see in investors' positioning. Therefore, I would be, cautiously bullish right now. But the real focus is on that medium-term outlook, where this market is being driven by one, strong decarbonization demand for green capex. Even in China, that Chinese green capex demand is replacing the property market weakness. Second one, strong demand from AI and data centers. And then the third one, don't underestimate the military demand for copper as well. You put that against lack of investment in supply, this market looks very tight on a medium to longer term basis, despite the weakness today.
Okay, that's the view on the rally that we've seen in copper. But the CEO of Renewable Power, Sumant Sinha, seems hopeful of the future of renewable energy and lauded the government for its efforts to initiate growth in the sector. Our colleague Shivani Bazar spoke to him on the outlook for the sector. Take a look.
The outlook for the renewable energy sector is very strong. This government has done many good things for the sector over the last 10 years. And the enabling policies are all there. So I think you'll see over the next several years much more significant growth in our sector. We've been adding about 20 gigawatts of new renewable energy capacity. That will increase to maybe 50 or 60 gigawatts a year. We'll see the new green hydrogen economy developing. We'll see the whole EV sector evolve much faster than I think people expect. So I think there's going to be growth along multiple dimensions because of all the good work this government has already done. We'll also see things like bidding for new offshore wind, more battery deployments, the project in Ladakh, the wind-solar hybrid project there. So we'll see a lot of those kinds of interesting developments happening in our sector as well.
All right, and another important corporate development on the show or corporate voice coming in, Mama Earth CEO and co-founder Varun Alag. He talks about his growth potential and the way forward for the company and the roadmap with our colleague Shivani. Take a listen.
Continue to deliver 20% plus growth over the next 3 years. So yeah, we are very confident this year as well that we'll be making that happen.
Okay. Varun, you spoke about premiumization picking up and you are present across segments. Where is the capex deployment going to happen the most? Which segments are you bullish on?
I think from a perspective of capex deployment, the largest, of course, is going to be infrastructure, right? Because as a company, if we want to move and make things happen, infrastructure is going to be critical. And, the second largest is going to be in manufacturing, because we now clearly need to become not just a factory for India, but also a factory for the world. And we have the capability and the manpower and the talent to make that happen. So I think those two, and followed, possibly by technology, which is where the third place for investment is going to be.
Okay, that is Honasa Consumer talking about where they will be investing their money and what the growth areas are. Let's slip into a short break, but on the other side, the ICC has sought arrest warrants against Israel's Prime Minister and Hamas leaders. More on that on the other side.
Welcome back. You're watching Business Lunch, and a quick look at the market at this point. Pared down some bit of gain that has been shaved off from Nifty 50. A large part of that is also driven by the financials and bank Nifty, which has flipped over to the red side. So keep an eye out on that. But otherwise, the mid-cap universe is looking far more stable with 0.3% gain. In the last half an hour of trade, there has been some buying seen in some of the sectors which were not performing that well, like the consumption sector, like Nestle India has seen some bit of buying. Also, keep an eye out on pharma. And one particular stock on my radar is Sun Pharma, which has seen a sudden upsurge in the last few minutes of trade. There you go, and keep an eye out on that from the earnings perspective as well. Now, moving on to some global developments and important updates coming in now from there. The International Criminal Court's top prosecutor is seeking the arrest warrants for both Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as well as the Hamas leaders for the crime against humanity. In fact, NBC's News files us the report from Israel on the on-the-ground developments there.
Travesty of justice, what a disgrace.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu denouncing the International Criminal Court after its prosecutor accused him of war crimes in Gaza and called for a global warrant for his arrest. The prosecutor also seeking to arrest Israel's defense minister and the three top leaders of Hamas's military and political wings. Israel accused of deliberately starving civilians in Gaza by choking off food supplies. Prosecutor Karim Khan also says Israel intentionally targeted civilians.
These crimes were committed in the context of the ongoing armed conflict and as part of a widespread and systematic attack against the civilian population of Gaza.
Netanyahu denying the charges.
Mr. Khan creates a twisted and false moral equivalence between the leaders of Israel and the henchmen of Hamas. This is like creating a moral equivalence after September 11th between President Bush and Osama bin Laden.
President Biden calling the prosecutor's move outrageous.
Let me be clear. We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders.
Hamas accused of atrocities during the October 7th terror attack and beyond. Allegations including murder, rape, torture, and hostage-taking.
Hostages must be released immediately.
Hamas denies committing war crimes as the wheels of international justice begin to turn.
If ICC judges approve the warrant, Netanyahu could face arrest in any nation that's party to the court, including most of Europe.
All right, that's the latest as far as the Israel-Hamas conflict is concerned. But in some more international news now, the funeral ceremony of Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi has begun in the northwestern city of Tabriz, the largest city in the mountainous region where his helicopter crashed on Sunday. Remember, Raisi died along with the country's foreign minister and two other officials. The Iranian army has ordered an investigation into the cause of the crash. A 5-day state mourning has been declared in Iran, while India has announced a one-day mourning as well.
All right, so lots of global developments there. It's time to wrap on this edition of Business Lunch, but stay tuned for Mid Cap Radar. Thanks so much.